What's good, world? So today I'm going to react to the greatest MVP race of our time by Jimmy High Roller. It hasn't been a while since I think I reacted to his last video, but I'm not on stream right now. I got the green tea. I'm locked in. I low-key am fiending for basketball anything right now. I don't know why. Usually I'm not. But right now I am. The greatest MVP race of our time this season. You know what it is too? We need some sort of clarity. Jimmy's going to come out with a damn graph that shows that Jokić and Shea are at the bottom left. And somehow Rondé Hollis Jefferson is all the way at the top right and is the greatest player of all time. So that'll clarify the MVP race for us.
We are now just a few weeks away from the end of the 2025 NBA regular season. And by this point, the MVP race is usually all but wrapped up. But what do you do when there's two MVPs? History says you vote for the guy who was leading his team to the most wins of any team in a decade while putting up prime Michael Jordan numbers.
Somebody asked me the other day, I really don't know like who I would, because Jokić might be having a better season than all of his seasons. And then what was it recently? It was something he did that they were like, oh, the MVP race is over. And he did something, he had like a crazy, because I'm not gonna lie, the Bulls just had that half court shot, so my mind kind of got erased at that point. But he did something in the past like 3 months where it was like, oh, forget the MVP race. It's just Jokic's now, but
very clearly the best player,
which still wouldn't have been true at the time,
on the best team, which should make this decision pretty obvious. Except it's not, because history has never seen a season like the one Nikola Jokić is having. It's better than this one, and this one, and this one.
Exactly.
In fact, it is possibly the most impactful season anyone has ever had. 2 all-time great campaigns, and only 1 trophy. It is the greatest MVP race in recent history, and it has left voters completely torn, questioning what it even means to be the NBA's most valuable player. The most compelling case someone can make to be the most valuable player in the league is to put up the best numbers in the league. This isn't the only ingredient to the MVP recipe, but it's a big one. And right now, Jokić and Shea aren't just having the 2 best seasons in the NBA, they're having 2 of the best seasons of all time.
So the thing that changed NBA history, if I could recall, was I believe 2017 when Westbrook won MVP over Harden, because Harden had like, and to this day I still something I don't think about that, but like at the time I was big on like, what do you mean Harden's averaging 1 assist or 1 rebound off of the triple-double? It definitely was a rebound, 1 or 2 rebounds, and his team's been better, and then he went on to win in the playoffs against them. So I always thought that was an obvious decision for anyone that could like think past. I've realized as I've grown up that a lot of people are stupid. Even if Westbrook did this, just the fact that it even was like a foregone conclusion, which I guess it wasn't, because I'm pretty sure the voting wasn't foregone. But anyways, that would change things because Westbrook was further down in the standings. He was at like 5th seed, and normally people did not win MVP at that standing. So since then, there's been, and Jokić has been a benefactor of that. That's the right word, where he has won MVPs because of that. So, I mean, granted, he might have, been the one to change the rule himself, and maybe the rule was bound for that change. But now with this type of season, it's like, because I believe, what was it, last year, the year before? It was one of these years where, so Jokić has won the past few years. He won last year over, I think they were saying Luka, right? And Luka, I believe, did have better, if not comparable stats, and maybe, more carry job, whatever, who knows? Hey, I don't know. Not saying I don't know, but like it's so close call, fine line between because Jokić is literally carrying a team every single night out is what it feels like. Not carrying, but he is the cog that makes the system. So I just I don't know if they would revert back to the old way of thinking. For a lot of times historically, whether it's for any award or any type of thing, really in anything, you could revert back to old ways of thinking for the sake of, what's the word? Like, I want to, something like for your own good, I guess, for your own cause, for a cause that you are, I'm thinking of the word, screw it, forget the word.
Just looking at some simple box score numbers, Nikola Jokić jumps off the screen like the obvious favorite. A near 30-point triple-double on nearly the best efficiency in the entire league, and the first player.
The threes is crazy too.
to ever be top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists. Numbers that make Shea's season look a bit pedestrian, despite being historic. 33, 5, and 6 on at least 60.
Still trying to think of that damn word.
80% true shooting is a stat line that has only been achieved by 3 other players in the history of the NBA. Michael Jordan, James Harden, and Luka Doncic across 5 different seasons.
And there's Luka's last season, 34. Yeah, like that's an insane seat. And Harden didn't win MVP in either of these years either. I believe, Giannis won both of these, huh? I don't think 2020 he had any sort of really anything, but 2019 there was a lot of talk. I think there would be a much different historical talk about Giannis if and this sucks that I'm saying this, but I'm saying this in a general, like the way that I was just talking, like an objective, like NBA sense, rather than this is what should be said. No, I'm not necessarily implying that, because recently I've seen a lot of people talking about how Giannis has been under talked about a lot in this season. I mean, not maybe to win MVP, but even be just talked about, period. And also, genuinely speaking, I think I was recording, it'll be on this channel soon, the 2K14 I was just playing on my stream the other day when I think it was that, or one of those videos, when Dame just went down with a blood clot injury as well, or blood clot. I don't know if that would even, I guess that's, everything's an injury, I guess. That's really sad, because I was hoping to see the Bucks in a general sense as a healthy team going to this playoffs again, and damn, like they really just lost Dame like that. Because last year they lost everyone right before the playoffs started, and then I believe even lost Middleton in the middle of the series, and then Dame came back, lost him as well. I forget how that all went down, but it was a lot of injuries, so that was sad. But yeah, that's just sad. But anyways, all I was saying was though is, I remember how crazy the Giannis dialogue was about, oh, he can't shoot, oh, he can't hit free throws, oh, all that, before he won that championship. I wonder if people in revisionist history would be saying that these should have been Harden's, or at least one of these should have been Harden's MVP season without a doubt. I mean, it is an easy argument to make when he was averaging stats like these, regardless.
Although none of them were as efficient from the floor as Shea is this season. However, box score numbers by themselves have never been quite enough to compel voters. Of these 5 previous seasons, only one of them ended up winning the MVP, Michael Jordan in '88. And to pull it off, he had to also be the best defensive player in the league. In the case of Jokić, there's only been one season in modern NBA history that compares to his, Russell Westbrook in 2017. And that season, he was the runaway MVP, receiving 69 of the total 100.
Yeah, that's what I was.
101 first place votes. The glaring difference between these 2 seasons, the mile-wide gap in their efficiency. Nearly a decade and some.
That is wild. And I will say, I mean, you're talking about Andre Roberson starting shooting guard Thunder. Like, this was definitely a carry job, and from a dude who was 6'2", 6'3", whatever the hell they list him as. And yeah, but that is wild. Hey, shout out to the free throw percentage though. 85% despite the 34 from 3. Random, but that's big. He's getting to the rim so damn much.
Some of the most absurd statistical seasons later, and the upgraded version.
Look at the usage rate difference. That is crazy. That's actually wild. Is usage rate, I'm going to look it up right now. What is usage rate calculated based upon? Because I'm assuming it's just like something to do with time of the ball and usage rate in NBA calculation. An NBA usage rate. Okay, see, they're giving me like Pythagorean theorem type of stuff right now. So I'm not sure exactly what this means. It's 100. Yeah, see, like what? I mean, it takes in field goal attempts, free throw attempts, turnovers. To be fair, Russ did get a lot of turnovers. So, but does it say divided by minutes played, team field goal? Okay, that meant. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it takes into account the entire team stuff. Okay, yeah. 100 times the sum of field goal attempts is a third of assists, turnovers, and 0.44 times free throws attempted, all divided by the possessions. Okay, that's actually not that complicated. It's complicated in terms of the equation, but to understand, not really.
Of Westbrook's MVP season not only doesn't warrant a runaway victory.
I want to get more into stats, just for like, because you know what I do a lot? Like, I know I've posted it a few times. I get on here and I just play quizzes of like historical. Like, I know like exactly like if I'm doing a quiz and it's like who averaged 25 plus points per game, it's like, oh, throw Michael Redd on there. You already know. Like, I don't know, just throw all them throw Richie Guerin on there, probably, like old players. And I'm like, damn, why don't I just get more involved with the stats just for the hell of it? Honestly, not even for like I think the thing that strays me away from that is I don't like arguing basketball. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, or even like trying to prove points within basketball. I mean, look where it leads you. Look what all these dudes on SportsCenter or ESPN have been doing for the past 3 days. But granted, I don't know if that was even their incentive in the first place. They just get on there to talk regardless. It doesn't even have to be stat-based or fact-based. Within their own mind, it could be going against all their beliefs. But hey,
for the award, it may not even win it. But these numbers hardly even scratch the surface of the impact and value these two provide every game. If we take a deeper look into some of their more advanced numbers, we can see just how remarkable Shai and Jokić have been this season and why the MVP race is as close as it is. To put into perspective the caliber of season these two are having, LeBron at his absolute statistical peak had a box plus minus of 13.24. Steph Curry at his absolute best had a BPM of 11.94. This season,
let's do it right now. Screw it. In case you're like me, box plus minus, meaning NBA. Do it right now. Box plus minus is an advanced stat calculation that estimates a player's overall. Okay, well, yeah, team's point differential per 100 possessions. How it's calculated: players' box score information, their position. Sorry that I'm using the AI thing, but damn it, this thing's getting better. I think. Their position and this team's overall performance to estimate. It is random, but wouldn't this AI thing in turn potentially hurt like Google or like people that have pages? That is kind of sad. Basketball score-based metric that estimates a basketball player's contribution to the team when the player is on the court is based only on the information the traditional basketball box score, no play-by-play data. Points above league average 100. Okay, yeah, so a rate stat. I don't know. Okay, great, thanks. That's cool, I guess.
Season, Jokić has a box plus minus.
It's always just something to do with them being good. That's what you always get.
Of 13.21, and Shai is at 11.58.
Look at this is insane. Y'all know like my basis for how much I love Jokic's game is that like all the players that I loved from the best part, and I think what people don't, if you like aren't a basketball, for people that don't understand why Jokić is as good as he is, at least from my eyesight, the thing that really always strikes to me is the amount of things he does that you can't plan for. It's not like, because Jokić will take an odd shot that looks like a shot that's never been taken before, whether it is those like extravagant step back threes against the Lakers in that one series, which granted that's been taken before, maybe not in that type of clunky way that he did, but even just 90% of the variety of floaters and around the rim shots that he takes, it looks like he's like hitting it up with the back of his hand or something half the time. Like he's like doing like tricks with the ball. And I just it's almost like I've watched soccer highlights before, and it's like how they'll like angle the ball a certain way to go around the goalie, and like they got like bagged or something. And I stuff like that, like even like the pass that he made yesterday or 2 days ago when he threw it behind his head and hit the dude, I guess it was probably Gordon considering the odds, cutting to the basket. Maybe it was Peyton Watson, who knows? I forgot already. But like he just does stuff that you can't. And I say that to say he still plays in that interior area. He hits the three with the best one, as we saw earlier with his percentage and all that. But he still plays in that interior area like all the players that I grew up loving. Obviously, someone like Melo, but he's tall, so it reminds me of like LaMarcus Aldridge, or probably if you're even older person, it reminds you of even further than that. I would say, though, I think it is best compared to the last era, because if you go even further back, then you get more and more jam-packed in terms of like the actual floor. But Jokić loves that like 12-foot pull-up or just shot, face-up shot. Like all that stuff is beautiful to me. And I like that his game thrives this much and he's this efficient with it. So honestly, shoot, hey, he's starting to move me towards Jokić, even though somehow this video is going to end towards Shai.
Choosing between Jokić and SGA this season is like picking between 09 LeBron and 2016 Steph. Good luck. For the last half-decade, Jokić has led the league in just about every advanced metric by about a mile. But
isn't it wild it's been that long since LeBron won an MVP? He won in like 13, right? He won in 13. So there was a lot of argument for him to win that 2018 or 19 season, but he won in 13. He won in, I want to say 12. I could be wrong. I know D Rose won. I think LeBron then won 2, and then before that he won another 2 or 3 in the 2000s. But it's wild to me. Like most of my time watching basketball, I barely witnessed LeBron ever win an MVP. Yet he's been in almost every single finals, at least for a little while there. It hasn't been in a few years, but.
But this season, Shai has threatened Jokic's spot and even dethroned him at times as the best player in the league. A feat that, in and of itself, is probably the most impressive thing he's done all season. On any given night, either one of them can look like the most impactful player on the planet. And even looking at advanced numbers, the edge is only slightly in Jokic's favor. Crafted NBA has Jokić as the best player in the NBA this season, with Shai right behind him, and then a really big gap, and then everyone else. Estimated plus minus, on the other hand, has Shai as the best player in the league this season, with Jokić right behind him, and then huge gap, everyone else. A quick glance at any of these catch-all statistics will tell you that Jokić and SG.
I'm not looking into plus minus stats right now. I already know what the hell a plus minus is, but obviously this has to be based upon, once again, possessions or something, and how much time they spend walking down the court versus running. Top 150 players in the NBA
are both historically and almost equally.
This is the type of graph I was talking about. They head and shoulders above everybody else, though. For sure, it's just that this season it is definitely just them two. And that's the other thing. And I know I've basically just talked about Jokić so far, but hey, we're 5 minutes in and I made this a damn 60. Hey, video 16 minutes. You've been here for 60 minutes. If you're watching this damn video, you've been here for 60 minutes. Anyways, what was I gonna say? I love Shai. I literally have so much Shai propaganda all over my Twitter, my YouTube, going back to like 2019. I started a Thunder My League series talking about this dude's the future right when they traded for him, back before anybody was subscribed to my channel. So I've always been a huge fan of Shai's game. All of my fantasy basketball teams in 2019, 2020, 2021 were all called Two Shai. Like Touche, but like two space anyways. It was corny, but it's not. It was a good name. That's what fantasy team names are supposed to be, though, to be fair. And yeah, because I would always draft the bastard in like the 5th round because nobody knew, or 8th. I don't know, because nobody knew anything about him yet. So yeah,
dominant this
season. He had like I wanted not a 20-20-20 game, but he had like a crazy triple double game in like January of 2020. I remember because I tweeted about it. I just remember that in my head. And but anyways, I say that to say his game is beautiful. I think the foul baiting stuff is over exaggerated. He averages less free throws than all of like the greats and is playing statistically better. So it's like, how do we give and take the wrong things?
Fortunately for those who are put to the difficult task of choosing between Jokić and SGA for MVP, these numbers have never been a direct indication of who will or who should win the award. Over the last 2 decades, the best or most impactful player in the NBA in any given season, according to some of the best advanced metrics, ended up winning the MVP award only about half of the time. Many times, these are cases where the individual numbers were backed with regular.
Did I say Manu? MVP ranked not of it. That's kind of funny though. Wow, that's funny. Look at Kirilenko down here too. And Manu on here. Manu was cooking. Maybe it's because of the amount of minutes he spent with the correct unit, because he was a 6-man a lot of this time. I know he started at some points, but maybe. I don't know.
Season team success, but rarely have the numbers alone, regardless of how great they were, been enough to be crowned the most valuable player in the league. In fact, if putting up the best stats automatically made a player the MVP, voting for
also Manu potentially, if he was playing with the bench, playing against benches,
award wouldn't even be necessary. So in terms of sheer individual numbers, there isn't a very compelling case to be made in either direction. Jokic's numbers are better, but without more context, their dominance from game to game is virtually the same. So we need to add more context. How are these performances impacting their team? And to what extent does their historic production lead their team to success?
Win. Lot.
In most cases, when 2 players are having incredible seasons, the tiebreaker in the eyes of fans and voters comes down to how well their team is playing. The second ingredient to the MVP recipe: win and win often. 25 of the last 30 MVPs went to players who clinched either the 1st or 2nd seed in their conference. And right now, the Thunder aren't just winning more games than the Nuggets, clinched either the 1st or 2nd seed in their
See, no 2017. And then no 21, 2, or 3. So, but we have to, he might mention it right now, but it's been a huge shift the past few years.
And right now, the Thunder aren't just winning more games than the Nuggets. They are the 4th highest winning team in modern NBA history. But recently, team success has held less weight in the
Wait, really? NBA. I think the Cavs lost NBA records, like standings, past few weeks. Let's see. Thunder is 60. Okay, yeah, they do have a better record than the Cavs now. I was kind of waiting for that turn to happen, because, and here's the brackets. I really wanted to see. Oh, the Bucks are gonna play. The Knicks actually play the Bucks today, and I did not think the Pistons were gonna lap the Bucks, but I guess the Bucks lost Dame, so, damn, I did not think. I thought the Pistons were gonna stay 6. I'm not really moved by the fact, based off of regular season, that the Pistons beat the Knicks like 3 or 4 times, because I've seen the regular season go the opposite way in the playoffs to my own demise. Like when the Knicks swept the Hawks in the season series in 2021, and Randall dropped 40 on them twice, and then in the playoffs he dropped like 12 per game and shot 12%, literally, I think. So I've seen the opposite happen a lot in the playoffs, so I wasn't really moved by that. I don't really want to play Giannis though. I'll play Kyle Kuzma though. You know, we probably be all right. Oh, I think they've smoked the Bucks. Once again, that doesn't really matter. But yeah. Anyways, all right, back to the video. That is wild though.
MVP discussion than it has in the past.
The Bulls, that's wild. But obviously, there's a few games left. But that's still wild. And even if, like, you know how teams be benching players at the end of the season to like preserve their players. If the Thunder do that, they could still win games. Because if they bench Shea, like if they still play Aaron Wiggins can win you a damn basketball game. Remember when the Thunder used to lose by like 80 like 3 years ago?
Past 3 of the last 4 MVPs going to players outside of the top 2 seeds. Nikola Jokić being just the 2nd player in over 40 years to win the MVP, despite his team not even cracking 50 wins.
Oh, that's shortened season. Yeah. Hey, 56 wins in a shortened season is although it was like we played like 72 games that year, I think. But that's still crazy. So they would have had like damn near 70. They lost to the Heat that year in some regard. I think they lost to the Heat in the conference finals. Something like that. Yeah, Giannis was out here leading, boy. And Giannis is still out here leading, but damn.
In a full season back in 2021. As if the voters have made the decision that the MVP isn't limited to simply the best player on the best team, but rather the player who has the largest impact on a winning team. And right now, there is one player in basketball who is impacting the game far more than anyone else. Here are the current top 8 leaders in the
Kyle
MVP
Kuzma.
race: Jokić, Shea, Giannis, Tatum, Mitchell, Curry, Mobley, and LeBron. And here are
Where my guys at? Nah, they don't deserve to be up here. I'll be honest. I've been so for being a 3rd seed who just clinched the playoffs, which is also fire though, I will say, because the Knicks were still trying to clinch the playoffs until the last game of the season, damn near last year, because the conference was so tightly packed. Then we somehow were able to keep the 2nd seed and play a damn team that was so much better than a 7th seed. Even if they did lose, they were just so much better than a 7th seed. And the Knicks were injured as hell. That's why too, still to this day, I'm like, that was so odd against the odds. But with this year with the Knicks, it's been such a negative fan reaction. Oh my God. I've been trying to stray away from listening too much, but I also can't stray away my mind fully, because I agree to an extent. There's certain ways they play that piss me off, especially the lack of defense this year. Oh my God. I wasn't watching the game because I was streaming. And that was like one of the first games I haven't watched, honestly. But they were playing, what's his name? That Najee Marshall dropped like 35 in the first half. Anyways.
Are the net ratings of each of their teams. Shea has put on a masterclass all season, leading the Thunder to be not just the most dominant team this season, but the 2nd most dominant regular season team in NBA history in terms of net rating. And for many people, the Overton team in NBA team this season on a masterclass all season, leading the Thunder to be not just the most dominant NBA history in terms of net.
So this is just team in general, though. So I don't really, And I understand, like, I think we've individualized the award a lot. And I'm not trying to do no I'm just saying that, like I just said, I literally just said it 3 seconds ago. I think the Thunder could win a damn game with Aaron Wiggins leading. I'm dragging it, but I like their team a lot. They are the best team by far to me. So, like, not by far maybe, because the Cavs are damn good, but and the Celtics are damn good. But yeah.
Rating. And for many people, the overwhelming team success the Thunder have had this season is enough to push Shai into the lead for the MVP.
And it's fair too, because he's also been a part of this system that's led them back to this point. There's a world where the Thunder end up like, I can't think of a great example right now, but a team that, I mean, even like Memphis. I know Memphis had all the Josh stuff, but Memphis just fired their coach today. Like, I know that they could still be either middle of the pack, maybe even out of the playoffs, something of that nature. And it would be surprising by this point with how well, for one, Sam Presti has done, and two, Shai has become. And obviously, but my point is Shai had to become this good, had to become this much of a leader, and so on and so forth, with a young squad as well, who has like the 30-year-old Caruso as their oldest player, I'm pretty sure. Shout out to Gordon Hayward, that failed last year. But I think that also deserves credence in itself, is how well they've taken a turn despite being such a young team for damn near the entire time. Did they have Al Horford during this stretch? I think they did. I think, was that that might have been like in 2020 or something, or 2021. I don't know. Was that 2019? I don't know. Because, like, I feel like no way Al Horford wasn't on the Celtics in like 20. Damn, I don't know. Was Al Horford off of the Celtics for the 1 year that they weren't that good? Remember that 1 year when Tatum was dropping like 60 against the Nets, and then they got swept in the first round after the play-in in like 2021 or something?
But value isn't just when your team wins. It is how much your team depends on you to win. If we look at each team's net rating when their MVP candidate is on the floor, it is clear that the Thunder are easily the best team in the league when Shai is on the court, with an absurd net rating of plus 18.3. This means that when Shai is on the floor, the Thunder are nearly 20 points better than their opponents per 100 possessions, followed by the Cavs with Mobley, the Cavs with Mitchell, and the Nuggets with Jokić. But the most revealing measure is the difference a player makes for their team when they're on the court versus when they're off the court, where Nikola Jokić jumps out as by far the most valuable and important player to his team in the entire league. His presence on the floor is the difference between the Nuggets being a...
Wait a second. The Cavs are better without Donovan? I just peeped. Yo, the Cavs are crazy. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson. That is insane. Wait a second. LeBron... Wait, I'm lost. Wait a second. Is that for real? They're better without Bron? By that much? Hey, Bron, what's going on? No, I'm just playing. He's 40. He's 40. He doesn't count. What? And I knew Donovan, because I feel like Donovan even had a very rough point to even start this season, I'm pretty sure. That was part of like the argument for him not being an all-star, which I think he still was an all-star starter, right? He definitely was. And I was going to say, though, before this came up, like, I even feel like, though, there's a valid argument to saying, like, you know, Shai's impact can be past the stats, which this doesn't explain this stat, because this stat isn't based upon stats itself anyways, but I'm pretty sure. So Shai, the amount of attention he attracts is just in a similar way that Jokić does, not in a similar way, but in a similar way, not the exact same way that Jokić does in the mid-range area, I think could be, you know what I'm saying, very debatable as to like not who's more valuable, but just being as valuable.
Net negative 8.2 points, bordering the worst team in the NBA, and a plus 10.6, one of the best teams in the NBA. For many of these MVP candidates, their team can still compete at a high level even when they're off the court, like the Celtics without Tatum, the Cavs without Mitchell or without Mobley, the Lakers without LeBron, and the Thunder without Shai. Steph and Giannis are the only other MVP candidates who elevate their teams from below average to title contenders. But without Jokić on the floor this season, the Nuggets are nearly the worst team in the league. Now, it's worth considering who these players play around when they're on the floor. A rotation that tends to keep starters together is bound to favor those in that starting lineup compared to a rotation that pulls and plugs periodically. For example, if Jokić tends to play with starters more often than not, but SGA is constantly playing with rotational players, Jokic's numbers are going to appear better on paper because he's playing alongside a better group. And so I looked into this. How many possessions these MVP candidates have played this season, and how many of those possessions were exclusively with the starting lineup. And it turns out that Nikola Jokić does have the benefit of playing with the best players on the Nuggets more than any of these other candidates play with theirs. 17% of all of his minutes on the court coming alongside the Nuggets starters. For comparison, Steph only plays with the Warriors starting lineup 9%.
Because Steve Kerr is a crackhead. And Steve Kerr will throw in he'll throw in me into the starting lineup. I'm trying to think though. I feel like how good the Thunder bench the Thunder have bench players that would take the third most minutes on the Nuggets. No, I'm dragging it, but I'm for sure dragging it, because even like when I thought about this in my mind before I said it about 3 minutes ago, even Christian Brown's been incredible this season, so like I can't say like negate that fact. But I mean, if you look at Murray, I mean, they've had Westbrook's been good so far in this regular season. He also got injured for a little bit. He's also started a lot. Either way, this is good.
Percent of the time. But in most cases, this number is negligible. For example, Giannis plays with the Bucks starters virtually as much as Jokić plays with his. And at most, the difference in time these players see.
Must be throwing me out there shooting guard. Matter of fact, no, I think I saw they started what was it, Ryan Rollins at point guard with Dame out. I genuinely couldn't tell you what hand he shoots with.
On the court with their best unit varies by less than 10% of their total playing time. In other words, it doesn't really matter who Jokić is playing around. He rises the tides for his entire team significantly more than anyone else in the entire league. In fact, according to Cleaning the Glass, when you translate these on-off splits to an estimation of impact on Denver's record, the Nuggets are a staggering 45 wins better as a team when Jokić is on the floor versus when he isn't.
They got the estimated wins added. I don't think it's that, but shoot, it's close enough. Look at Big Zoo. Big Zoo is cooking. Big Zoo, Christian Brown as well. Right, so 45 wins, 20. Yeah, Sabonis makes sense. Victor, Giannis, Andrew. I'll rock with Andrew Nemhard though. I mean, I know he hit that crazy shot against the Knicks, but that doesn't make me hate him or nothing. Like, I just like his game. John Collins. I mean, yeah, the Jazz do stink, but I mean, shout out to him. He's had a super efficient season. Found that out from doing. And I knew he was having a good season. I realized how efficient his season was. He's shooting like 55 from the field and like 45 from three. I'm probably dragging it, but still. I found that out from doing that LaMelo series. I damn near signed him. Zubac's also been insane. This man's at 88 overall in 2K now.
For comparison, Shea's on-court impact on the Thunder projects to them
part of me wants to see the Clippers go far. Anyways.
About 15 wins better as a team. But this is where the discussion becomes a matter of what you value most in your most valuable player. Because while Jokić elevates the Nuggets to one of the best teams in the league, Shea elevates the Thunder to being one of the best teams of all time. Is it more valuable to drag your team from being bad to being in title contention? Or is it more valuable to elevate your team from title hopefuls to overwhelming title favorites?
Yeah.
This is essentially what the MVP race is boiling down to. A player with ungodly numbers propelling his team to compete at a level they have no business being at, or a historically great scoring juggernaut who is the sole leader of the best team in recent history. And the answer to this question may boil down to a third and final ingredient to the MVP award, a factor that is often ultimately decided who has won in the past and will more than likely be the deciding factor this season.
I'm going to having phases with this video. Story worth voting for.
In ESPN's most recent MVP straw poll, 100 members of the media were asked to cast their vote on who they thought was the MVP of the 2025 NBA season. The results? Within the top 5, Donovan Mitchell received...
I bet you Jokić got 57 first place votes and won.
0 first place votes. So did Tatum, and so did Giannis. Nikola Jokić received 30, and Shea...
I literally just thought I read that right here.
Media were asked to cast their vote on who they
at that point, okay.
They thought was the MVP of the 2025 NBA votes. So did Tatum, and so did Giannis. Nikola Jokić received 30, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander received 70 of the 100 first place votes. So far, the media has spoken, and they think Shai is this season's most valuable player. But in more recent surveys asking players, NBA executives, and NBA analysts, out of the 25 votes that were casted, 18 were in favor of Jokić and only 7 voted for Shai. Which brings us to our third ingredient in the MVP, narratives. Beyond what you do on the court, the story has to be in your favor as well. And at the moment, every narrative is beaming directly at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to become this season's most valuable player. First and foremost, he is the best player.
That Dame Russell Westbrook with his triple-double narratives messing up my line. I was playing. First of all, there's probably been way worse narratives historically. Secondly, you know what's funny? I just felt like saying this too. I feel like Russell Westbrook during his best years, especially, and then even like as he started to fall off, and like the Rockets would leave him wide, the Lakers left him wide open in the playoffs, tripled off of him, left him open, and then they went and traded everything for him, which was the dumbest thing ever. I feel like there's been so much ammo to be like critical towards Russell Westbrook. Also, his fans are sometimes insanely delusional, like historically, towards the like when he got a. I remember when there was a lot, especially when we went to the Lakers, there was a lot of people like trying to like, nah, Russ still that guy. Like Russ is super nice now, but he's obviously playing a role player role. And it also took like the best situation possible. And I also still want to see to be determined. And I'm not saying this because I actually really enjoyed when Russell played with the Clippers in the playoffs that one year. And he shot like 2 for 18, but had insane hustle plays in one of them games. I think it was I think Kawhi was playing that game and then Kawhi got injured. And what's it called? And like definitely played beyond the box score. With that being said, I still do want to see, especially now with like this type of team where they already have guys that can do stuff like that. They're not necessarily in need of hustle. They need someone to make shots. I want to see if his shot making continues into the playoffs. I'm interested to see. With that being said, though, I will say the criticism, I don't know why I'm going into this right now, but the criticism that I've had in my mind, like naturally for Russell Westbrook's game at times, definitely overshadows how like interesting and how great his presence has been for the NBA. Because even seeing that clip where it was like him talking trash to Jalen Green or something like that, he like, man, he was in my AAU league or something. He's like, this little bro, whatever. He's talking to Ime Udoka. The whole Rockets bench was laughing. He's like, I taught you how to shoot, whatever it was. I don't know. And then Russell, what a great guy, man.
On the best team, a formula that has led to more MVPs than any other. While Jokić is fighting,
when he was missing dunks, boy, I was heated. I remember he played the Knicks once and he screwed like 8 possessions in a row up. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
The uphill battle of voter fatigue, Shai is ripe to receive his first MVP. He's not just having a great season, he's having an all-time great individual season. He plays both sides of the ball. He is the leader of the NBA's brightest young team, and in a league that's been searching for a fresh face, Shai is front and center. SGA has what I consider to be the perfect MVP resume this season. He checks every single box for what you would want in your most valuable player. He has the marquee performances, he has the momentum, he has the caliber, and of course, he's never won it before. But narratives can also lead us astray. They can allow our emotions to dictate how we perceive what we are actually seeing. And that's where precedence gives us points to reference in search for the most fair and accurate conclusion. It allows us to not be prisoners of the moment, but instead consider the history of the game and the unwritten rules we've abided by up to this point. Precedence tells us that no matter how great a player
it is actually, it's funnily enough, it's D Rose or Steph-esque. Like even the way that people look back and they're like, nah, D Rose shouldn't have won it. Bron should have won it. And it's like for one, I you know, it's not that cut and dry. But with that being said, though, even if he was, hey, screw it, yeah, this is Shai's D Rose season, and he's definitely about 5 years older, or 4 or 5 years. But hey,
is winning 4 MVPs before making it to the finals even twice is completely unheard of, even for the greatest players to ever play. For this same reason, voter fatigue is a frustrating but very real thing. If the MVP award purely went to the most valuable player in the league every season, Michael Jordan and LeBron would each be sitting on about 8 of them right now. Instead, the award sort of blends from one
8 for Bron. I don't know about 8. Bron would have 8 in the 2010s decade alone, and he had more before that. And maybe I don't know. There's you could probably argue that he even deserved more in that decade, like based off of just how good he was before, like whatever, before the hype even fully reached.
Season to the next, taking in the context of everything that came before it and the consequences of it. Decades ago, MVP voters decided that the award was not reserved for the best player or even the player having the best season. Instead, it was an award that had multiple ingredients, multiple boxes that needed to be checked off. But even by their own criteria, what qualified a player to be the MVP was changing all the time. If it was simply the player having the best season, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. If it was the best player on the best team, Michael Jordan would have won it about 8 times. But instead, he has 5, which has essentially set a firm benchmark on how voters vote for the foreseeable future. Voters messed up by not rewarding MJ with the number of MVPs he rightfully earned, and so every player that came after him—
Shaq getting one is crazy. Shaq getting one. Who won? I know Shaq was 2000. Was Duncan no, Iverson was 01, and then Duncan was 02 and 03. KG was 04. Nash was 05 and 06. Dirk was 07. You know what's funny? The LeBron years are what messed me. 08, I believe it was 08 just Bron and then Kobe, or was 08 someone else that I'm forgetting right now? I don't know. But because I know Kobe won in like 09. But anyways, it's funny because those are the years that messed me up. I don't think I got messed up in the past few years though. Yeah, well, because like this entire decade just been Jokic and then Embiid once, then Jokic again, and then before that it was anyways. Shaq winning one is crazy. That is wild. I mean, Shaq's prime was about 10 years, a little bit over, because then Shaq was in like his, this is a crazy, he was in his Cavs Kevin Love era, which Kevin Love wasn't even, I was going to say Spurs LaMarcus Aldridge, that's just me being a crackhead. He was in like his, and no, not play style wise, just like effectiveness wise, like to the team when he went to Miami, I feel like. But I also wasn't there. I was like 4, so.
Is held to the same arbitrary, convoluted standard. As one fan put it, sports writers regret not giving Jordan all the MVPs and now punish everyone after that like it's a Supreme Court case and not just something they could change at any time. A case of we do it this way because we've always done it this way. The MVP award should be given to the most valuable player in the league, but it's not quite that simple, and it never has.
Adam Silver is really a break tradition type of guy though. Adam Silver's over here trying to change everything. And yo, like Adam Silver not seeing from a bird's eye view that All-Star game was not going to, because he admitted a few days ago in a press conference that All-Star game was garbage. Not seeing that is insane. And not seeing that wasn't going to be good, because like it was so bad that no one even took intrigue in figuring out how it worked previous to it. And then once it was going, it was the dumbest thing ever and the worst managed thing ever. So I don't want to see you make any more changes. 1000%. Play-in's cool, but I even just saw someone recently say, I think that it was either Twitter or something. Someone was like, I think the number that of teams that have won past seed like 4, past like the 4th seed in the conference, that they've even went to the finals, is insanely overstated. And then that makes it that the play-in game is kind of pointless. It's intrigue, but it's pointless. And I think that's why it was a safe move, because it's just interesting, but it's not really that doesn't really matter that much. Because like if you look back historically, a 7 seed has never made the finals. An 8 seed has made the finals like once or twice. I think it was the Knicks and then the Heat a few years ago, and then the Knicks previous to that in '99, which was also a lockdown season. So it was a lot of games lost. And then the Knicks were very good for that whole decade, so it wasn't that surprising. Although they made a lot of moves at that point. But, and then, yeah, anyways. So, like, and then, like, if you look at, like, the 4th, 5th, it was something like 9 times combined from both conferences that teams in those seeds, maybe 5th, 6th, and something like that. And it's like, I don't know what Adam really be on sometimes. But I like to play in, though. In real life, not in 2K. I hate it.
To make the argument that Jokić deserves the MVP because he is objectively having the best season in basketball right now would be the most logical conclusion. But it would also be ignoring the 78 years of history, tradition, and expectations that we have come to follow. Based on the responses to this discussion so far, it appears that now more than ever, the players and the people involved in the NBA from game to game view the
That said it was from a Hall of Fame player. These players be stupid, but maybe it was someone smart.
award as a reflection of simply who is the best, most impactful player. And the media looks at it through the lens more of
That's what it was, the 30-20-21 game. That's what it was. That was what I was referencing way earlier.
Story and narrative. And in the end, it is the media who gets to vote. With less than a month left in the regular season, the race for the MVP only seems to be getting tighter with each game. And in what is shaping up to be the greatest MVP battle we have ever seen, voters will have to either stay the course and vote for a player that has built a near perfect MVP case, or make a rare exception to a player that is quite possibly having the most impactful individual season in modern NBA history.
Oh, that's it. So yeah, that's I'm not gonna say much more because I already spoke enough. Turned a 16-minute video into 44 minutes. 44444. Shout out to Jay-Z. I didn't end it on that note though. But I said enough. Yeah, I said enough. All right, see ya. Bye.